August 9, 1945 dawned like any other day in Nagasaki, Japan. The city bustled with life, unaware of the impending catastrophe. But at 11:02 a.m., the world changed forever. A blinding flash seared the sky, followed by an ear-splitting roar. The United States had dropped an atomic bomb, codenamed Fat Man, on Nagasaki. The atomic bombing of Nagasaki was a tragedy of immense proportions. It instantly killed tens of thousands of innocent people and left a scar on the city. Nagasaki stands as a symbol of both the horrors of nuclear war and the resilience of the human spirit. To understand the bombing of Nagasaki, one must first understand the context of World War II. By 1945, the war had raged for 6 long years. Millions had perished in Europe and Asia. Japan, though facing imminent defeat, fought on with fierce determination. Its military leaders clung to the belief that they could still achieve victory. The Pacific Theater was particularly brutal. Island-hopping campaigns resulted in heavy casualties on both sides. The Battle of Okinawa, which ended just 2 months before the Nagasaki bombing, served as a grim foreshadowing of the human cost of invading mainland Japan. The United States estimated that such an invasion could result in over 1 million American casualties. Japan, despite its dwindling resources, showed no signs of surrender. Its people, heavily influenced by militaristic propaganda, were prepared to fight to the death. This unwavering resolve, coupled with the potential for catastrophic losses in an invasion, weighed heavily on the minds of American leaders. The stage was set for a desperate gamble, one that would change the course of history forever. The decision to use atomic bombs on Japan was a complex and controversial one. The United States, having just developed this terrifying new weapon, faced an agonizing dilemma. The atomic bomb represented a quantum leap in destructive power. Its use, many argued, would usher in a new and terrifying era of warfare.
Several factors influenced President Truman's decision to authorize the use of atomic bombs. The primary motivation was to end the war quickly and decisively. The U.S. hoped that the sheer destructive power of the bombs would force Japan's immediate surrender. This, they believed, would save countless American lives that would be lost in a protracted invasion.
Furthermore, there was an element of retaliation for Japan's aggression in the Pacific. The surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, coupled with Japan's brutal treatment of prisoners of war, fueled a desire for retribution among many Americans. The atomic bombs, in this context, were seen as a way to deliver a decisive blow and make Japan pay for its actions. The selection of Nagasaki as the second target for an atomic bomb was a combination of circumstance and strategic calculation. Originally, the city of Kokura was the primary target for the August 9th mission. However, cloud cover over Kokura forced the B-29 bomber Bockscar to divert to its secondary target, Nagasaki. Nagasaki, a major port city on the southern island of Kyushu, played a significant role in Japan's war effort. It housed a large naval base and several industrial factories that contributed to Japan's military machine. This made it a strategically valuable target in the eyes of American military planners. However, Nagasaki was also a city of considerable cultural and historical significance. It had a long history as a center of trade and cultural exchange with the West. The city was home to a sizable Christian population, a legacy of Portuguese missionaries who arrived in the 16th century. Tragically, these historical and cultural nuances were overshadowed by the city's strategic value, sealing its fate as a target. At 11:02 a.m. on August the 9th, 1945, the Fat Man atomic bomb detonated over Nagasaki. The plutonium-based bomb, with an explosive yield equivalent to 21,000 tons of TNT, unleashed unimaginable devastation upon the city.
The explosion generated a blinding flash and a searing heatwave that incinerated everything within a 1-mile radius. Buildings crumbled, trees ignited, and human beings vaporized.
The shockwave ripped through the city, leveling structures and hurling debris. A massive mushroom cloud billowed into the sky, casting a sinister shadow over the devastated landscape. In the wake of the atomic bombing, Nagasaki struggled to comprehend the scale of the devastation. The official death toll, as of December 1945, stood at 73,884, but the true number likely remains unknown.
Many victims perished in the days and weeks following the bombing due to radiation sickness, burns, and injuries. Those who survived the blast and the initial radiation exposure faced a lifetime of physical and psychological scars. They became known as Hibakusha, a Japanese term meaning explosion-affected people.
Many suffered from leukemia, cancer, and other radiation-related illnesses. They also faced discrimination and prejudice due to the stigma associated with radiation exposure. The bombing had a profound impact on the survivors' mental and emotional well-being.
Many struggled with post-traumatic stress disorder, survivor's guilt, and the loss of loved ones. The bombing also left an indelible mark on the city's psyche, casting a long shadow over its future.
On August 15, 1945, just 6 days after the Nagasaki bombing, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's unconditional surrender to the Allied powers. World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, was finally over.
The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki played a pivotal role in Japan's decision to surrender, bringing a swift end to the war in the Pacific. The use of atomic bombs ushered in a new era, the atomic age. It marked the beginning of a dangerous nuclear arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union.
The world now lived under the shadow of mutually assured destruction, knowing that a single nuclear exchange could result in global annihilation. The bombings also ignited a global debate about the morality and legality of using nuclear weapons.
Many argued that their use was a war crime, given their indiscriminate and devastating effects on civilian populations. The horrors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki served as a stark warning about the dangers of nuclear proliferation and the urgent need for disarmament.
Despite unimaginable suffering, Nagasaki refused to be defined by its tragic past. The city embarked on a long journey of recovery and reconstruction. From the ashes, a new Nagasaki emerged, determined to build a peaceful future.
Today, Nagasaki stands as a symbol of peace and reconciliation. The city is home to the Nagasaki Peace Park, a poignant memorial dedicated to the victims of the atomic bombing.
The park features a peace statue symbolizing the threat of nuclear war and the hope for peace.
Nagasaki actively promotes nuclear disarmament and a world without nuclear weapons. The city hosts the annual Nagasaki Peace Ceremony on August 9th, commemorating the victims and calling for the abolition of nuclear weapons.
Through its commitment to peace, Nagasaki serves as a beacon of hope, reminding the world of the importance of dialogue and cooperation.